You were never meant to stay buried. That feeling you woke up with this morning, that quiet, relentless pull in your chest, it wasn't random. It wasn't anxiety. It wasn't confusion. It was a summons, a divine appointment, a knock from the other side of a sealed stone door that has your name carved into it. You didn't find this video. This video found you. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. Most people will watch this and feel nothing. They'll scroll past. They'll move on. They'll go back to their comfortable numbness, their distracted scrolling, their carefully constructed life that looks fine on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. But not you. You stopped. You're still here, and that is not an accident. Easter is not just a holiday. Easter is not chocolate and flowers and family dinners. Easter is a cosmic event that happens every single year. And this year, something is different. Something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere. Something ancient is being activated in people like you. People who have been in a season of waiting. People who have felt crushed, buried, silenced, forgotten. You have been in your own kind of tomb, cold, dark, sealed, and the world moved on without you. People stopped checking on you. Life kept spinning while you felt completely still. But here is what they didn't tell you. The resurrection didn't happen in the open. It happened in the dark, in the silence, in the place where nobody was watching, in the exact place where everyone had already given up. God does his greatest work where no one is looking. And right now, he is working in you. This Easter is not about the past. It is about what is about to walk out of the tomb inside you, and it will change everything you thought you knew about yourself. If this message is speaking directly to your soul right now, type "risen" in the comments. Let the algorithm know. Let the universe know. Let yourself know. Part 1. The Tomb Season. Why you had to go through the dark. You know what nobody talks about? The Saturday. Everyone celebrates Good Friday, the sacrifice. Everyone celebrates Easter Sunday, the resurrection. But nobody talks about Holy Saturday, the day in between. The day when the disciples sat in complete silence, completely devastated, completely convinced that everything was over. That is the day most chosen ones are living in right now. You are in your Saturday, and it feels unbearable because you had faith, because you believed, because you gave everything, your time, your tears, your prayers, your best efforts, and then something died anyway. The relationship, the business, the vision, the version of yourself you worked so hard to build, it died. And now you are sitting in the silence of the day after, asking God, are you still there? And heaven feels like stone. But let me tell you something that will reframe your entire existence. The tomb was not a punishment. The tomb was preparation. The caterpillar doesn't transform in the open air. It dissolves completely, entirely, almost violently inside a cocoon that looks from the outside like nothing is happening. That cocoon is your Saturday. You are not stuck. You are dissolving into something that doesn't have a name yet. You are not forgotten. You are being formed in the dark where only God can see the blueprint. You are not behind. You are in the sacred pause between who you were and who you are being resurrected as. The disciples didn't understand the tomb either. They wept, they hid, they whispered to each other in fear. What do we do now? And not one of them, not a single one, was sitting there thinking, just wait, by morning, everything changes. That is what makes what happened next so magnificent. They didn't earn the resurrection by understanding it. They received it by surviving the night. You are surviving your night right now, and the morning is closer than your pain is making you believe. Hold on, chosen one, because what comes next in your story will make everything that buried you look like the very ground that launched you.
Part 2. The Chosen One Calling. What makes you different and why it cost you everything. Not everyone is called the way you are called. And I know that sounds bold. I know the world tells you not to think too highly of yourself, but there is a difference between arrogance and awakening. There is a difference between pride and purpose. And what you carry in your chest, that burning, that yearning, that sense that you were made for more, that is not ego. That is assignment. Chosen ones carry a specific kind of weight. They feel things deeper. They see things others miss. They grieve things others have already forgotten. They lie awake at 3 a.m. not from anxiety, but from a spiritual frequency that is always turned on, always receiving, always picking up on what is invisible. And that gift? It cost you. It cost you relationships that couldn't handle your depth. It cost you rooms that fell silent when you walked in because your presence disrupted the comfortable surface-level energy everyone else was maintaining. It cost you seasons of profound loneliness, surrounded by people but understood by almost none. You were too much for some, too intense, too serious, too spiritual. But here is the truth they never told you. You weren't too much. You were too real for people who were still performing. Easter this year is activating something in the chosen ones that hasn't moved in years. The dreams are coming back. The visions are returning. The ideas that felt dead and buried are beginning to breathe again. Quietly, subtly, like the first movement of something about to push through soil. God doesn't waste chosen ones. He delays them. He refines them. He takes them through fire, not to destroy them, but to burn off everything that was never truly them to begin with. What came out of the fire in your life? What survived? That right there, that is the real you. The version that couldn't be burned, the version that couldn't be buried, the version that Easter is calling to stand up and walk out. And the world is not ready for who you are becoming. Part 3. The resurrection process. What God is actually doing in you right now. This is the part that will give you chills, because it already started. Before you clicked play, before you woke up this morning, before the last season ended in a way that broke your heart, it already started. God began your resurrection before you knew you needed one. Think about the moments in the last 12 months that seemed like endings. The door that closed, the person who left, the plan that collapsed, the version of your life that you were holding so tightly, and then suddenly it was gone. You thought those were losses. They were removals. God doesn't just resurrect the willing, He resurrects the emptied. And to be emptied, something had to leave, someone had to go, something had to die, not because you failed, but because you were being prepared to carry something that your old container could not hold. You cannot put resurrection life into an old vessel. The new wine breaks the old wineskin. So He broke the wineskin. He let it break. He watched you cry over the broken pieces, and with a love too vast for words, He whispered, "I know, and you'll understand, but not yet." This Easter, not yet, is becoming now. The spiritual assignment you carry is waking up. The calling that felt dormant is finding its pulse again. The relationships that were pruned are being replaced by divine connections, people who will carry the same frequency, the same fire, the unreversible hunger for something real. You are not starting over. You are starting from a new level. There is a difference. Starting over means you lost everything. Starting from a new level means the suffering was tuition. It means every tear was a seed. It means the grave clothes are coming off, and what is standing in their place is someone that the old you could only dream of becoming. Walk out, chosen one. The stone has already been rolled away. Not by your strength, not by your performance, not by your worthiness, by grace, ancient, ruthless, unconditional grace. The stone is gone. Your tomb is empty now. And the question Easter is asking you this year is devastating in its simplicity. Will you walk out?
Part 4. The Easter Activation. What you must do before the season passes. Every Easter carries a frequency, and most people walk right through it without receiving what it was sent to deliver. They go to church, they eat their meal, they post a photo, and they miss the activation entirely. Because activation requires stillness, it requires willingness, it requires a specific kind of surrender that the busy world trains you to avoid. This year, you cannot afford to miss it. Here is what God is asking from His chosen ones this Easter. He is asking you to stop performing resurrection and start receiving it. There is a version of faith that is exhausting because it is built entirely on effort, on showing up, on doing the right things, on being consistent and disciplined and faithful and visible. And those things have their place. But there is a deeper layer, a layer where you stop striving and start yielding, where you stop trying to resurrect yourself and let the God of resurrection do what only He can do. Lay it down. The plan you were forcing, the identity you were protecting, the version of your future you were still holding on to with white-knuckle desperation. Lay it down at the door of the tomb. Not because it was wrong, not because you were wrong, but because what God is preparing to give you is so far beyond what you've been holding that your grip is the only thing standing in the way. This Easter, declare something out loud, alone in your room, in your car, wherever you are right now. Say, I am not staying in this tomb. I was made for resurrection. I choose to walk out. Speak it, because the chosen one who speaks their resurrection calls it into existence. The stone doesn't wait for you to feel ready. The morning doesn't wait for you to feel worthy. The angel doesn't ask if you deserve the empty tomb. The stone is already gone. The grave clothes are already unwrapped. The only remaining question is the most powerful question in human history. Why are you still standing inside? You are standing at the door of the greatest Easter of your life. Not because everything is perfect, not because the pain is gone, not because the answers have finally arrived, but because you are still here. You survived what should have ended you. You were breathing when you were supposed to be broken. You were watching this when you could have given up entirely. That is not coincidence. That is calling. The 99% will miss what God is doing this season. They will be too distracted, too bitter, too comfortable, too afraid. They will look at their tomb and say, at least it's familiar. They will choose the known darkness over the unknown light. But not you. You were never part of the 99%. You came here for a reason. You stayed here for a reason. And you will leave this video different, not because of my words, but because something ancient in you recognized something true. Because the part of you that was buried just felt the ground move. Because deep inside the tomb of your pain, your waiting, your silence, something just exhaled. That exhale is resurrection beginning. Walk out. Walk out of the identity that kept you small. Walk out of the story that said you were too late. Walk out of the fear that convinced you God forgot your name. He didn't. He never does. Your name was spoken at creation. It will echo at resurrection. And this Easter, right now, today, it is being spoken directly into the tomb you've been living in. You were chosen before you were broken. You are rising before you feel ready. Your tomb is empty now. Walk out.